folks want to know what you think about Xavier, Iowa, a very interesting matchup between two new coaches, one of which is having a worse time than the other at their new spot. So Xavier, Iowa, over to you, Rob.
Yeah, Xavier, Iowa, real quick here. What we've seen out of Iowa, guys, Darren, the head coaching change here, we thought with Ben Howland was going to make them a lower scoring team. And right out of the chute, we figured out, well, wait a minute, is Fran McCaffrey still coaching the offense for Iowa? Because they look pretty darn good. Xavier on the other side with Richard Pitino, two different halves the other night. Remember, I had them at team total in that game the other night, 20 points in the first half, but 48 in the second half. That second half, guys, put up 96 points the other night. But Xavier was never in it. That second half was more attributed. Their scoring was more attributed to, I don't want to call it garbage time, but, more like desperation mode. Game gets a little quicker. You're trying to get back in the game, et cetera, et cetera. I don't trust him here against Iowa at all. That's an extremely difficult arena to go into against a team that's proven to be really solid already. And you're walking in there in your evaluation process with the Xavier team. So if they got behind at home by, I think it was 18 points first half the other night, they could get blitzed right off the bat by Iowa here. So in some regards, I don't think this line is high enough at 15.5. But I think Iowa, guys, they may still be in bookmakers' eyes under the old perception of under the Ben Howland perception that they're going to be a slower paced team. But like I said, I don't think it's true. And I don't think covering 15.5 with him as head coach against this particular team is that hard to do. I would look Iowa. Didn't bet the game, guys. But from what I saw of Xavier the other night, and Adam, I think you hit on it the day we made this play, that they're in a bad way personnel-wise. It was kind of disguised the first couple of games out of the chute, but it was really exposed in that game the other night. So I would lean Iowa for anybody looking to play that game. Total-wise, and you know what? You might want to play the Xavier team total under. How about that? Because Iowa's a good defensive team nowadays, and I think with Xavier struggles offensively, you could probably get home with that.
Yeah, real quick, Trig, I remember you had messaged Rob and I during one of the games about Richard Pitino, his comments on his team. And, one thing, and this kind of plays into what Rob just said about maybe a Xavier team total under. This team right now, 348th in the country in 2-point percentage. We always talk about the variance that is 3-point shooting game to game in college basketball. But if you're not making them inside the arc, if you're 348th in the country in 2-point percentage, that means it's tough sledding at the offensive end, right? I mean, you're not getting the easy ones, particularly inside. I think the Xavier team, I think the market, again, to piggyback off what Rob said, may be a little slow to react to what is honestly not going to be a very good team in year one under Pitino. And I think Iowa can probably name the score here. Is it going to make my card? No, but it would be lay it or pass for me.
Yeah, rebuilding year for Xavier. I don't think anyone is going to give Pitino a hard time, really. Like, I think it's just a kind of a year zero for him there.
Mm-hmm.
And, given his track record, he's had – listen, like, I think the Xavier faithful have to look at, like, he had really bad years to start at early on in his tenure at Minnesota. I think New Mexico might have finished 10th in the Mountain West in his first year there, and they turned out okay. So Xavier might be a team where maybe you can back them in like February as like a dog, like in conference, like they start to figure it out as the year goes. But I don't want a part of them. And I think in non-conference play against teams that are just clearly further along than they are right now, which is I think the case with Iowa. Bryan Power, I'm going to come back to you because I don't think the folks know, because of course you're a Mr. Cleveland, Mr. Ohio, that really you're a Michigan fan, not an Ohio State fan.
That is correct.
If you had to pick a side of the rivalry, and Michigan basketball looks like they're in a great spot right now.
Yeah.
They look awesome. And so we had someone ask about the Michigan TCU game. Of course, we love all the comments, but I'm losing them in the shuffle. So I forget who asked about it, but we'll go there because I think that this is a matchup that's worth discussing tonight. Big move toward Michigan. I kind of agree. How are you seeing Michigan TCU?
Yeah, I think Michigan's one of the best teams in the country now. What you need to ask yourself here is, what do they have in the tank coming off, obviously, a wild and hard-fought victory over Wake Forest. That game, I mean, that was a great game the other night between Michigan and Wake. Michigan, they kind of looked in trouble. They were down 7 late in regulation. They rally and do win it in overtime. So, and they don't go to Texas very often. So I agree that, I kind of agree with you. Here's again, 3-point variance. All right. Michigan, why did they find themselves in that 7-point hole late against Wake Forest? They couldn't hit a 3 in the second half. I watched it. I mean, I was like, when was the last time they hit a 3? Well, I just brought the box score back open as I was stammering there. Michigan was 4 for 25 in that game from 3-point range. I always believe, this is just kind of my general handicapping mentality, if you can win a game when going 4 for 25 from 3, that's actually a good thing, because a team like Michigan, to me, too talented to be that cold back-to-back nights from 3. I know, again, it's on the road, so I don't think they're necessarily going, to shoot the lights out here, Dusty May's team. But you look at the TCU side, kind of a work in progress. They lose to New Orleans in the season opener. That's not good. So I think Michigan is probably how I would play this.
Rob, I'm seeing that this is getting knocked back down. So someone must have wanted to oppose this, because it looks like TCU has taken some money back down to 7.5, even 8 some places. I got to say this, like, about TCU in general. Like, this is not a great shooting TCU team. We all know that they had a horrific result to start their year, losing to the University of New Orleans. And I found it was Daryl that asked the question. So thank you, Daryl. We appreciate that. He specifically wanted Rob's opinion. So we better get Rob in on this. He says, Rob, what is your opinion of Michigan TCU? The last thing I'll say is, I don't think TCU shoots it particularly well. And Rob, I don't think you're getting much at the rim against Michigan. So what's TCU is going to have to defend their tails off to cover this number, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's an interesting conflict here, guys, because Jamie Dixon, since he's gotten to TCU, it's kind of I'm trying to describe his totals results here. It's very strange with him. He's a defensive-minded coach. Let's start there, right? But TCU has kind of catered to overs during his tenure, especially the last 3 years. And when I look at these numbers, analytical numbers so far this season, you see that they go fast on offense and they clamp down on the defensive side. Now, a lot of times when you see average possession length being long on defense, it's because teams are in zone and it's harder to find shots against zone immediately. But Dixon's kind of a man guy. And Michigan gets a shot off so quickly here. There's where the rub lies, right? Michigan wants to shoot quick. TCU banks on keeping you from taking a shot for a while. I think Michigan probably wins that battle in this game. But the total to me is too high, guys. I just don't see this game getting up into the area where it is right now. I'd probably think lower 150s rather than higher 150s. And to Brian's point, because Adam, you said there's a little bit of punchback to the TCU side here. I think just situationally, the point that Bryan brought up about the toughness of the Wake Forest game back and forth, and now you got to go play another team that, they are at home, they are pretty decent, and they are sitting and waiting for you. So I could see a little bit of take back there at that price. But if this question was specifically toward total, Daryl, I would look under in that game. I just don't think it'll get up into that area.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rob. I see a scenario where TCU is having a hard time getting any sort of good look in this game. That Michigan defense is very good, and TCU I don't think is a great shooting team.